The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I'm one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the host, Warren Man.
We're recording a little later than usual this afternoon because Warren needed to watch the Seahawks game, the first playoffs game, Seahawks versus the Redskins. The Seahawks were victorious.
The Seahawks were victorious.
I'm mining every ounce of football knowledge I have right now.
That's all you got?
They're playing RG3.
Yes, RG3.
Randall Gruber, the third.
Robert Griffin III.
Okay, good.
Yes, the young star.
It was the battle of the two rookie quarterbacks.
Yes.
The only two rookie quarterbacks to have a passer rating over 100.
Well, you have all sorts of knowledge.
Look at this.
That's pretty impressive.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I can read about things, and then it's like I know about them.
So, yes, our young rookie quarterback, the diminutive Russell Wilson.
He's only like, what, 5'9" or 5'10"?
Yeah, but he has very big hands.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a hard time holding the football.
You know what that means.
Yeah, I've heard. Unlike our quarterback during the 80s, Dave Craig, apparently he would fumble a lot. I remember him fumbling a lot. I think he set the record at one point.
Hands, yeah.
He had and they'd always talk about it. Look how small his hands are. His hands are too small. They'd also talk about the fact that the college he went to was actually defunct.
Huh.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good show for you this week. We don't have a Street Freak of the Week. They're taking the week off.
Holidays.
Yeah, and they have to rest up from the injuries, regrow some hair. And
That's right.
Things from last week. We will have a That's What Men Are Like. A listener wrote in with a question, wants to know what men are like, and we're going to tell her what men are
that's
like.
exactly what the segment's for.
Exactly. We'll have some Celebrity Minute. And also, listeners, we haven't had a listener feedback in a while. And we've been getting messages, but they've just all been boring. So
okay, this is not what you want to do. This is how you get more messages.
Well, okay.
You don't ask for messages, then you get messages and say they're boring.
We love every message, but we'd like messages that will inspire discussion, that we can have a listener feedback segment about. So send those questions in to podcast@warrenandbradley.com, or you can write to us at Facebook/Warren and Bradley. Twitter as well, @WarrenandBrad.
Yeah.
Let's get communicative with our listeners.
And you can listen to the show on YouTube.
Yes. I don't know why you would, but you can. Warren and I went to a party last night.
Yes, we did.
It was enjoyable. It was our friend Stephanie's birthday party. It was one of those amusing things where we have a bunch of friends who, whether it be age or relationship status or job related, not many of us go out together anymore.
Yeah.
I still annoy people every weekend trying to get them to go out, and most people just ignore me. And
yes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm used to. Let's go out by myself and look at people and write in my journal.
That's about right.
Drink cologne. But it's nice when we get everyone back together because there's still this kind of weird, zany, goofball-y quality in the group. Like, at one point...
That's alcohol is what that is.
It is. It's alcohol, and it's also just long association. You know, you're comfortable with people, and you get drunk.
That's true. No one's feeling like they have to put on airs for anyone else in that situation. Yeah, it's true.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Warren and I at one point tried to wrestle, but we were broken up mid-wrestle.
You were very determined to wrestle. I want to wrestle. So I was like, fine, I'll wrestle you.
Well, we were reminiscing about how we used to wrestle back in the day.
During the Dave Craig era with the Seahawks.
Maybe it was that long. I was trying to remember the last time. I haven't wrestled lately. The most that's ever happened is that I'll get drunk and have people punch me in the stomach as hard as they can.
Which you were also doing last night.
Yeah, but nobody really. Only girls were punching me in the stomach.
Yeah, nobody wants to punch you.
And then I can't punch the girl back in the stomach. That's just not acceptable in our society. But I basically got a rug burn on my elbow from the wrestling. And I was trying to think of the last time I had had a rug burn.
Yeah, that's something you have a lot of when you're a kid, but not really when you're an adult.
You remember that? I constantly had these, and the rug burn is horrible because it's not a cut, it's not a bruise, it's just the skin is just rubbed off.
Yeah.
So you have this weird open wound that just kind of weeps fluid every once in a while. It takes forever for a scab to form.
Especially if they're big and they're oftentimes on your elbows or your knees, and then they like crack and they don't want to heal because they're on a joint, and it's just it's a real task. These rug burns.
It was a strange situation though. I was like, this is a rug burn. And it's been so long, and I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I had a rug burn.
It's kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, I can see that. A nostalgic injury.
But anyway, Warren and I, the two opponents, started grappling with each other. I immediately pulled him down on top of me.
Yeah, it was a very...
And then,
this literally went on for maybe 3 seconds, this wrestling match.
Basically, we squared up.
Yeah, we did.
We launched ourselves at each other.
Yeah.
And I made a strategic error by pulling you down on top of me because you outweigh me by...
Quite a bit.
Probably 50 pounds.
Yeah,
I have no
at
idea.
least.
I weigh like 165 or something like that. Yeah. And so I found myself in the situation of being under Warren. And
I hadn't really done anything at this
not really.
match. You kind of lunged at me. You kind of made some move. I kind of and you just kind of went back on your back. And the next thing I knew, I was on top of you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess you're kind of pinned now.
Well, I was trying to make my move. I was trying to get my feet. I was going to do a submission hold on you. You were very close to being, an arm bar or something like that, or a sleeper hold. But then Stephanie, the host of the party, broke it up. It's like, no fighting, no fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to many people's disappointment, many people were hoping to see the wrestling match, and other people were just aghast that it was going on at all.
It is,
it divided the party.
It's the men. The men were pleased.
The men were happy to see the wrestling.
And at one point, I was trying to put lemons in my mouth.
There you go.
A lot of weird dancing, and it was a good time.
A lot of weird dancing, some strange drinks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that were mixed of various things. I don't know what they were, and they were brought to me, and I just drank them.
That's a good mentality to have. People just put a drink in front of you, and you just
drink it. It is.
If you were a girl, I wouldn't recommend that.
We're talking about that situation where, it is a situation where people for a long time, so you're not worried about anyone poisoning you or roofing you or anything. You. So you'll just take any drink anyone hands you.
Yeah.
I could have been passed out, and they could have done anything they wanted with me, but that did not occur.
Thank God.
So I mentioned before on the show my stinky coat.
Your stinky Carhartt coat.
Yes.
Looks like a homeless man threw it away. It was too dirty and disheveled for a homeless man to wear.
I don't know if I mentioned the fact that I washed it the other day.
No.
I was looking on the internet because I was like, what could I possibly do to wash this coat to get the smell off of it?
Just put it in a washer?
No, that doesn't do it.
No.
A cycle with baking soda.
Uh-huh.
Bam. You got a coat that doesn't smell anymore.
So what did it smell like?
Mildew.
And you're walking around with this thing?
Well, I just walked to work and back with it.
Okay.
But this is the situation, though, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking to work this week, just strolling along, right through the middle of downtown Bellingham. Mm-hmm. I'm approached by a police officer as I'm walking along, and I take out my earbuds.
Was the police officer on foot?
On foot, coming at me pretty aggressively.
Oh, walking the beat?
I think he may have been out patrolling, and he goes, "How long have you been around here?" And I didn't really understand the question because I didn't know if it meant that how long had I lived in Bellingham.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, "You mean here in this block?" And he's like, "Yes, around downtown. How long have you been around here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm walking to work. I'm just passing through."
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Which direction did you come from?" And I pointed the direction I came from. And he's like, "You didn't come from that direction?" And he pointed down the other street, and I was like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, we had some reports of a guy with a Carhartt coat trying door handles around here on cars."
Huh.
So I was like, "That wasn't me." He's like, "All right." And he walked off very quickly looking for this guy with a coat.
I've never been suspected of anything. You
Really?
know, if I'm just walking around minding my own business, cops have never come up to me and accused me of breaking and entering, or I don't think I've ever matched the description of a suspect.
Yeah,
whereas you apparently do often.
I often look a little disheveled, maybe a little rough around the edges.
Well, I'm wondering, was it because he thought you were homeless? And then when you told him you're going to work and you seem to have your facilities about you.
I think that was because I seemed sane, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't panic. I think maybe in that situation, if he's approaching the guy who was trying the door handles and he saw the cop, and he'd run away, or else he'd try to punch at the cop or something, and I was just confused about what he was talking to me about.
Yeah.
But it's happening around my workplace too. I've had police come up and stop me and ask me questions. Well, no, who knows what they're doing? There's all sorts of meth related activities going on around that area. And I've always just said, "Oh no, I'm fine." And I'm just going to work, and they let me go.
So the question that occurs to me, Warren, is, do these experiences make you perhaps rethink your stylistic choices?
No, because there's never any consequences.
I guess.
You know what I mean? If I were to get hauled downtown and beaten, then I might wonder
repeatedly over and over again.
I better start dressing nicer.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. It wasn't, or if anything ever happened where I was arrested for no reason, then I might reconsider it. But
do you think if you were an African American gentleman in these situations that happened to you, you would blame racism for the reason you were being harassed by these cops?
I imagine so, because look at the difference between you've never had this happen.
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me many times in my life.
Yeah.
And if I was a black guy and you were a white guy, I probably would blame it on race. but I kind of realized it has more to do with the fact that I walk around a lot, and I probably don't care what neighborhood I'm in, and I don't, I'm not too much attention to detail.
Well,
with my
I walk
clothing.
around a lot too, and I'm often hanging out on corners where there's a bunch of other homeless people.
Yeah.
I'm often just loitering. I probably look pretty suspicious because I'm just standing there smoking and staring at people as they're walking by.
Maybe you don't meet the description of the homeless people, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not. Well, there aren't a lot of homeless people with skinny jeans and leather jackets.
Yeah. Like hipster homeless guy. They're like, I heard about that hipster homeless guy, and they take you downtown and beat you.
I actually had a little run-in with the cop, too. I was, again, on my corner smoking. There was a garbage can nearby where I smoke, and usually I will go put the butt in the garbage can.
Yeah.
But not always. Sometimes you get a little lazy. And so I let the butt fall to the ground and stomped it out. And from like 3 feet behind me, I was like, did you just litter? And turned around. There was a cop, a little bike cop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sorry. I can pick it up and throw it away if you want. And then he came up and he looked, and there were a bunch of cigarette butts around there.
Yeah.
I don't think I was the first one. Ha, ha, ha. Uh-huh. And he said, these aren't your cigarette butts? And I said, one of them is. I can pick that. I'll pick up all of them if you want. I can pick them all up.
I don't want any trouble, officer.
Yeah. And he went, just pick up the one you threw down. Okay. And I picked it up and I threw it in the garbage. And he gave me a nod. He's like, all right.
Well, this is what we both seem to know about police officers, right? Or any sort of law enforcement personnel. Keep it as brief as possible.
Yeah.
Try to wrap it up. Don't go into any more detail.
Well, and I think
don't get cute with them.
Anytime I've been pulled over or anything with the cops, I'm always very polite and try to be as accommodating as possible. It doesn't mean you roll over and expose your bare belly to them. Well, like if they're accusing you of something, you don't just go along with it. You defend yourself if you need to. If you're
accused of you were the one that did this, and you'd be like, no, that wasn't me.
That prostitute. You wouldn't go like you didn't want to offend them. So
you're like,
okay.
Yes, it was me. You're right. You're never wrong, officer. Yeah.
But you can do it in such a way you don't get all uppity with them. And I think there's also that thing. I'm sure that cop. I didn't realize he was around, but he sees me 3 feet in front of him just throwing a cigarette butt on the ground. I think that would get kind of irritating because you're just walking around as a police officer, constantly seeing people doing shit.
Well, we all remember the episode where Marge became a police officer on The Simpsons.
Yes.
And eventually she got to that place, right?
Horse without diaper.
Exactly. Just nothing but crimes everywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. And after a while, it's like you can only enforce so many. But I think you get to the point where someone's like rubbing in your face, like they're like, oh, there's a littering law? Just dropping a cigarette butt. Yeah, what you gonna do? Then you might get a little bit like, well, I do have the power to do something to you, sir.
Well, and I appreciate it because technically he could have given me a littering citation.
Yes.
But he gave me the opportunity to rectify my crime. And
what is a littering citation? How much does that cost, I wonder?
Yeah. What else has been going on lately? I haven't had no street freak encounter, so there won't be a street freak of the week this week. I haven't gotten angry at the grocery store lately.
There was a series of stories about that, wasn't there?
Yeah, there might have to be a whole extra podcast, just Brad at the grocery store. And the only other amusing thing that's happened this week is at the grocery store. I wasn't angered at the grocery store. You got another grocery store story. Yeah, but it's not me being irritated by the grocery store. Checked out my stuff, walking out of the store, and an interesting pair approached. It was a mother-daughter duo, both of whom had perfect mustaches. Perfectly groomed, clipped. I'm trying to think of like a celebrity. Kind of Tom Selleck-y, but not quite as expansive as his mustache. There was a definite point to them on each one.
It wasn't just like a little bit of fuzz on their lip. It was like a mustache.
And you see women occasionally who are a little hirsute and have like a little bit of fuzz, maybe a little sideburn action. Or maybe like postmenopausal women who get a few wiry whiskers that most women would yank out. But, some old women just don't care anymore or don't bother. But this was a mother-daughter. Obviously, this was an inherited trait that the mother had passed on to her daughter. And they had just decided, you know what? We have mustaches. And I don't know if the hair only grew on the mustache, because they didn't have sideburns or beards or anything else. Just these. It looked as though they'd either waxed or shaved everything around just to keep the mustache.
Well, it's interesting because, like, if that daughter had been, like, adopted by some other family...
Yeah.
There's no way she would have that mustache right now, right?
I don't think so, no.
It was only the fact that her mother was like, we have mustaches. This is what we do with your mustache. You learn from your mother, right?
She's buying her wax and like a little mustache comb.
Whereas everyone else is like, we get rid of a mustache. We have a mustache when we're a young woman.
Yeah, I remember watching some talk shows as a little kid where they had these hirsute women who were proud of their facial hair. And they're like, we're not going to bow to societal pressure. We're going to have our facial hair and wear it proudly. And everyone's like, boo. woo in the audience, even though you could see the audience was still kind of like,
and shows like that, whenever you're like defiant, and you're like,
yeah,
oh, I'm 800 pounds. I don't care what society says.
Right.
Everyone claps, even though everyone kind of knows that you should probably lose the weight anyways. It's bad for your health in general. Yeah.
I have a superfluous nipple. I don't care. And they show everyone. Everyone's like, yay, extra nipples. If I were a woman, I would not want a mustache. If I grew a mustache, I would wax it off immediately.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a sexist point of view because...
It's definitely...
maybe they're both lesbians.
Culturally informed.
Yeah. But it's also because as men, most men are attracted to femininity and most women are attracted to masculinity. And so it's not a trait of femininity to have a nice soup strainer up there.
But I'll also say this about women with mustaches. It's not like you're walking down the street and you see a really beautiful woman and everything about her is just great except for she has a mustache. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen very often.
Are you saying that if you did see that, you would still be attracted to
her?
No,
if I saw that, I would be like, oh, I wish she would get rid of her mustache.
Yeah.
Most of the women I see with mustaches, it's not like I'm like ready to swoop in and woo them. You know what I mean? So they can have a beard or a mustache. I don't care what they're going to do.
Yeah, it was interesting, though, because they didn't look... The mom looked just kind of like the classic middle-aged mom, you know, kind of graying hair, had sort of like a little bob cut, and her little mustache had some wire rim glasses.
So you took away the mustache, she looked like a normal woman.
Yeah, she would just look like, you know, normal middle-aged mom. The daughter, she wasn't a 10 or anything like that in terms of the look department, but she wasn't...
Are you sure they were just frail men?
No, they were women. They were definitely women. The daughter was wearing a dress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just an interesting choice. I mean, in some ways, I enjoy it, but like you say, a mustache is pretty much a deal breaker for me.
Well, maybe they're not going for you. Do you think there are men who are into mustaches?
I'm sure there are.
Because it seems like every
freaks who are into mustaches.
Well, every weird thing, right?
Yeah.
There are some people
that are into it. There's a fetish
it.
for everything.
Yeah. So I'm sure that once they just hit that mustache group, they probably have a really full, great mustache.
Well, and I'm sure for those who are into mustaches, there aren't a huge pool of women available with mustaches to choose from.
Exactly.
So if you were the hot woman with the mustache and you went to whatever convention the mustache fetishized people go to.
Mustache fetishist convention.
I guess. Yeah, you might be pretty popular. Would be the belle of the ball. But what I thought about after seeing this, there's always that deserted island thing. If you're with your girlfriend or some woman you've been dating a while, she seems perfectly hairless. But then you go to this place where there's no depilatory creams, there's no hot wax, there's no razors of any kind. Are you going to end up with a Sasquatch? You don't know necessarily how hirsute your girlfriend might be.
But after a while, you get some notion, right?
Maybe? I don't know. Because I don't think I've never been witness to my girlfriend's
mustache.
Well, her hair removal process, if there is one, you know? And I think if your girlfriend did have a mustache, she wouldn't be plucking hairs out of her lip in front of you.
I don't think I have. Yeah, that's true. But even like shaving your legs, what a process that is all the time.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of work.
I did do that once. I shaved one of my legs.
I shaved my legs once too, yeah.
And it took forever. You know what I mean?
It's
There's
interesting.
a lot of hair, and I was just like, got it off of there. It's not like shaving like your face. Your face is much smaller.
I would think that most women don't have as much hair on their legs as we do. So
that's because I have like a lifetime of hair at that point.
Yeah, but also they just don't grow as much. I mean, we have it all over our thighs.
Yeah, so it takes less time.
Yeah. I think it's mostly the lower leg that the women get it on, and it doesn't get as long or as bushy or as thick for most women.
Yeah,
I would assume. But yeah, it does seem like a pretty big imposition. I mean, I get irritated by having to shave my face. And in some ways that's worse because it's the face. It's kind of sensitive, cutting things and blood spurting everywhere. The leg, it's not as huge of a deal if you cut it.
No, but you also have to bend over to do it, and stuff like that. And the face is right there by your eyes. You can see it very easily.
That is true.
Everyone's always debating if it's better to shave a face or a leg.
I've had this argument with women before. Like, I hate shaving. Like, well, at least you don't have to shave your legs.
Well, it's interesting.
Like, well, you don't have to shave your legs.
As we're sitting here, you've got, 2 weeks going on your face?
Yeah, about 2 weeks facial hair growth.
I've got an entire week.
Yeah.
We're not doing it.
Let ourselves go. We were talking about manscaping last night, too.
Yes, that came up.
Which is an interesting topic.
I've never participated in any sort of manscaping.
Yeah,
that won't shock anyone.
You don't really have much body hair anyway, do you?
I would say if I was in a percentile, I might be in like the 30 percentile or 40 percentile. I don't have alopecia.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a lot of hair. Yeah. I could do it. I could shave my chest and see what happened, but I think it would just be really itchy.
Nah, it doesn't itch. I trim it down everyone. You just can't cut it that short. You don't want to have just stubble there.
So you mean when you trim it down, do you trim around it, or do you actually trim the body?
You just trim the length of it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
With what? With like a guard on your like razor?
With a beard trimmer.
Really?
Yeah. You get the public hair every once in a while too. If it gets a little too bushy.
I never considered doing that.
Warren is touching his chest hair right now.
I don't even think about I've never thought about my chest hair in years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you were to ask me if I had chest hair, I'd be like, I think I do. Because I mean, it's not like I ever think about my chest hair. It's just always there.
I don't have much. I don't have any back hair or anything either, so it's fine. It's interesting to me, that whole 70s aesthetic where there were these really hairy men all over the place.
Yeah.
And I know there must be some men around who are that hairy. And I know that... who the fuck is calling me?
206.
206, and I have no idea who that would be. What was I talking about?
There's the hairy men in the 70s.
The hairy men aesthetic in the 70s, you know, the Tom Selleck on a bearskin rug kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of men are obviously doing more manscaping now. I mean, I was just watching James Bond, the new James Bond movie, and Daniel Craig was just totally hairless everywhere.
Oh, my.
But even amongst friends, like going swimming and stuff, I'm imagining that, has the hairy-chested gene gone away or something? Has it been bred out of our population?
I've wondered about this, too.
Because I would not fit in the 70s. I don't have much chest hair at all.
Even just facial hair.
Yeah.
A lot of the people we know can't really grow facial hair.
I wonder if there's just not as much testosterone in the population.
I assume it has something to do with the milk.
Maybe.
You know?
Well, they talk about all these women on birth control, and somehow the hormones get into the water.
Yeah.
And that's why there's more women being born, and that's why the men who are born have tiny penises and hairless bodies.
It's just getting worse and worse all the time.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Yes. Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. I'm happy to report that there were no baby bump stories this week as I was perusing the celebrity archives.
So there just like a rash of them last week and then none this week?
Yeah. I mean, there's usually at least one or two every week when I'm looking. There were a couple bikini body stories, but I was able to
those are better.
Overlook those. First story for this week, Justin Bieber team isn't happy about marijuana pictures leaking online. We'll post this picture on warrenandbradley.com.
I haven't seen this.
There
is that
it is.
Bieber? What?
Looks like Bieber. Looks like he's got a spliff. He's got a pretty smug, self-satisfied.
Yeah, he looks like I'm pretty cool. My pompadour is pretty high today. And he's apparently sitting next to a girl. It looks like, and her face is like
it's blurred out.
Out.
As we said, we'll post the picture online. I guess TMZ published these pictures of him smoking pot. He's apologized to his fan base. He hasn't specifically said that he was smoking marijuana.
It's almost worse to be smoking tobacco though nowadays. So
it's true. Apparently, he made a statement on Twitter, not specifically mentioning the marijuana use, but saying, for me, it's just like, I like to be in control of myself. I mean, I've had a beer, before, but I never got out of control. I mean, I keep my guard up a lot because, you can't trust anyone in this business. That's what's sad. You can't trust anybody. I learned the hard way.
Wow. He has had a rough life. A lot of hard things have happened to him. There's no hashtag at the end of that?
No.
Oh.
I don't know if that was the actual tweet or if that was some comment to a magazine or something, but his management isn't happy. They were grilling people trying to figure out who was taking those pictures and who had posted those pictures. Recently, a paparazzi was killed, or a paparazzo, is that the singular? Paparazzi is plural and paparazzo is singular? Whatever. Was killed while trying to take pictures of his Ferrari. But Bieber wasn't around, I guess, at the time. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if he ran into the street and was run over by the Ferrari or what was going on.
Oh, poor guy.
But yeah, so the management is, of course, he's got this squeaky clean image, and most of the people who listen to him are 6 years old, so they don't want him.
No, you don't want any ties to drug use, right?
Taking part in drug use.
Because you want everyone's mom to buy them the Justin Bieber album.
Speaking of marijuana, Rihanna was recently criticized for posting a picture of a nugget of marijuana.
Yeah.
It was on Instagram, I believe, or maybe it was on Twitter. And she said under the picture, quote, "This nug look like a skull, or am I just hallucinating?" Followers attacked her for setting a bad example for young fans. And one detractor said, "Wow, what a good influence you are on young girls." Not. While another added, "I don't understand what she's trying to prove through pics of drug every day." Plurals. Put an S on the end of there, please.
Just more proof of what she's doing, right?
The tweets prompted the defiant We Found Love singer to post a photo of herself alongside a caption which read, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
In this day and age, is it that shocking that a celebrity is smoking pot?
It's shocking if they're not, really.
I would think so. Next story. Senators step up pressure on CIA to turn over Zero Dark 30 documents. The story is ridiculous. Zero Dark 30 is a movie that's coming out. I think it's been released in some cities already in major markets. It's the fictionalized account of the hunt for Osama bin Laden, culminating in the attack on the Pakistani compound where bin Laden...
Abbottabad.
Yeah, where Obama was finally taken out, directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Who was taken out?
Oh, shit.
Oh!
Osama was finally taken out, directed by Catherine Bigelow. Initial reviews are saying it's a good movie, but apparently some U.S. senators are angry because in the film there are depictions of torture. Of enhanced interrogation techniques involving waterboarding, mental torture, listening to horrible music quite loudly for long hours.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it is implied that some of those techniques were at least in part responsible for some of the information which led to Osama being captured or being killed. And according to, I believe it was Dianne Feinstein, Carl Levin, and John McCain, they said that initially the CIA had claimed that no enhanced interrogation techniques were used to get any information which led to his killing. But when talking to the filmmakers, apparently the CIA gave them information which suggested that it did. First of all, it's a movie.
Yeah.
This is not a documentary.
I like the idea of the CIA giving more information to like the producers.
The Hollywood producers than it would. Well, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Frankly, I don't know what the case is, obviously.
You don't have any inside information about this?
My sources in Capitol Hill have not told me anything other than I know we used enhanced interrogation, and everyone wants to say that it doesn't work because they want to condemn it.
Well, because it's bad.
Yeah, it's not something I'd want to engage in, probably.
It's a better thing just not to do it all. Yeah.
It's also, chances are, there probably was some information gleaned with those methods.
It was a rich tapestry of different sources.
Tons of different things that led to him finally being found. I mean, it was a decade.
And we know now, in Pakistan, I think in the last couple of weeks, some health workers are trying to eliminate polio from Pakistan have actually been attacked.
No.
Because they're telling people that it will make their sons infertile.
Yeah.
But there's also the thing where they were setting up that immunization program in Abbottabad before the attack. And one of the doctors there was actually a CIA agent. Oh. And that's how he was getting information.
Cool.
So they're also using that as a reason to like kill health workers in Pakistan. Yeah,
that's a good reason.
So they got information a lot of different ways. There was satellite imagery. There were sources on the ground.
Need to leave these people alone. Just culture where you're trying to eradicate a horrible infectious disease and they're killing you for it. Culture where they throw acid on a girl's face because she wants to learn how to read.
That was the 14-year-old, right?
Yeah.
A while back, who got shot in the bus for trying to... And then I know after that happened, there was a lot of outrage in the Taliban at the media because they're like, you're not telling our side of the story. And people are like, there's no side for... We are telling your side of the story.
She was trying to learn to read.
Yeah. And it's like, so then
against God.
So then I know there was going to be attacks on journalists at that point because of their biased treatment of the attack on the child.
We can't judge. It's a different culture, Warren. Savages. This is a funny story. Well, actually, first I'm going to get to this Depardieu story.
Oh, yeah. I was just listening to something about this the other day.
Yes, he has caused a furor in France because basically he is taking on Russian citizenship because of the proposed 75% tax rate in France on the super rich.
Well, I know initially he had bought a home in Belgium.
Yes.
A mile from the border, and he was going to set up that as his residence.
Well, let's get into the story here. This is from the Associated Press. Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesman said French actor Gerard Depardieu has flown to Sochi, where he is likely to meet with Putin and receive a Russian passport. He approved the actor's application for Russian citizenship, causing a scandal in France, where Depardieu has been fighting a proposed 75% income tax on the super rich.
I have heard a news report. I know they were going back and forth a little bit. The Prime Minister of France was attacking Depardieu.
Yeah.
And he was firing back, and he was talking about how he had paid like $190 million in taxes.
Yes.
And so he was like, I think I've done enough.
He's not paying his fair share.
Yeah. They were saying he was abandoning France in its time of need. Yeah.
I would say France has abandoned him in a way. It's this very interesting mentality of we want more tax base, we want to bring in more revenue, but we're going to drive away all the rich people by... There's a certain threshold where people will be like, okay, I will pay these taxes, they are just... I accept the fact that I need to help pay for infrastructure, I have to help pay for schools, for... all these other things. You get past a certain threshold and people say, fuck this.
Oh, I know in economics there's a certain rate where they've determined where it gets to the point where taxation gets so high that it just encourages a black market, ensures corruption. People leave the country at that point.
Yes.
And the only reason you would tax above that rate is because you were like, let's get the rich people.
It's punitive.
Let's get the rich people. Yeah. Rich people don't pay enough. They're awful. Let's get them. Mm-hmm. And it's counterproductive. Yeah. It's merely an emotional reaction to the situation.
So are you happy now, France? Gerard Depardieu is a Russian now? There won't be any more peeing on Air France flights and getting arrested for being drunk on his scooter in the middle of Paris.
But there will be caviar shortages in Russia, I think, at this point. Because that man, he likes to eat.
Okay. Samuel L. Jackson insists reporters say N-word during Django Unchained interview. We're going to play the audio here.
Oh, good. I like this story already.
Okay, we'll play the audio now. I have to apologize. It's really echoey for some reason. I'm not sure if the original audio was like that, but the video I was able to find. We'll post the original video on our website, warrenandbradley.com, as well.
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the usage of the N-word in this movie.
No, nobody, none. The word would be...
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Why not?
I don't like to say it.
Have you ever said it?
No, sir.
Try it.
I don't like to say it.
Try it.
Really? Seriously?
We're not going to have this conversation unless you say it. You want to move on to another question?
Okay. Awesome. I don't want to say it.
Oh, come on.
Will you say it?
No, fuck no. It's not the same thing.
Why do you want me to
They're
say it?
going to bleep it when you say it on your show. Say it.
I can't say it. If I say it, this question it won't make air.
Okay, forget it.
Okay, I'll skip it. Sorry, guys. It was a good question.
No, it wasn't.
It was a great question.
It wasn't a great question if you can't say a word.
I wanted to ask about the movie that...
That's basically it. I mean, obviously Samuel L. Jackson was fucking with him.
Well, I know this is one of the situations where you're doing press for a movie, right?
Yeah.
And you talk to 80 of these guys in the same day,
You got to
right?
keep yourself entertained.
And you answer the same question over and over again.
Yeah.
And he probably had heard people say N-word a couple times, and he was just like, we're just going to roll with this one.
People are kind of freaking out about this, though. The reporter Jake Hamilton of Houston's Fox TV said that it was very intimidating to have Jackson telling him to say the N-word. And this video has become kind of viral on Reddit now. People are just spreading it everywhere. But he says, whatever the video is doing today, making the rounds, it's not as bad as it would have been if I'd actually said it. The last thing that my affiliate needs is one of the reporters going around saying the N-word and broadcasting it everywhere. We have gotten so ridiculous now.
But I understand what he's saying, though, from his perspective, and the fact that he is worried for his career, right?
Well, he's answerable to people, yes.
Yes, and then he goes in the office of, like, the manager at the station he works for, and they're like, you said nigger to Samuel L. Jackson?
What did you just say, Warren?
And he's like...
Our affiliates are going to dump us now.
Thank God for the internet. We can say whatever we want.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, he wanted me to say it so I could do the interview. And they're like, you can never say that
That's
word.
the insidious thing about it. It's one thing if you have some reporter like, goddamn niggers, on air. Okay, fire him, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have Samuel Jackson, like, say it, say the word, and you say it, and then you would still be fired. That's the kind of society we live in. And I know Samuel Jackson knows this, too. That's why he's fucking with the guy.
Yeah, because it was funny.
He knows that even with him taunting him, trying to get him to say it, in that context, in those circumstances, it would still be the unforgivable sin. And he would be raked over the coals, and he would be fired.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You can't quote somebody now.
It's just strange because you can't... It takes context out of things, right?
It does.
And people are just scared of saying things in any way. Because, I mean, I'm sure that man was a horrible racist if he would have said that, right? I'm sure he's a horrible bigot, and so he couldn't say that word. But it's like, oh, just relax.
Yeah.
I'm sure Samuel L. Jackson was kind of like, just relax.
Yeah. We need to all relax a little bit. The last story isn't a story at all. It's just a picture that I found amusing. We'll post on warrenandbradley.com.
Good. Let me see it.
It's Madonna face down in the snow. The story was from Us Magazine, Madonna face plants in the snow while skiing in the Swiss Alps. As much as I don't like Madonna, as much as she irritates me, She was trying to ski and she fell down a few times. The story, though, or the picture is hilarious. She's got this very irritated look on her face. She's like, trying to crawl up from the snow. But this is something that, if I were to go skiing right now, I would fall on my ass constantly because I haven't skied since I was a little kid. There wouldn't be anyone taking pictures of me and posting it online.
The thing that makes me wonder is, did she get up and like laugh about it, or was she really angry the entire time?
I'm going to assume that she was really angry the whole time.
Because based on what I know of her personality at this point,
Yeah.
I assume she was really angry, and she probably like hit one of the staff at the hotel she was staying at later. You know what I mean? Just seems like an awful person.
Yeah, we don't like her.
No,
not here on the Warren and Bradley Show.
We are fans of
Minute.
Samuel L. Jackson, Madonna, not so much.
And there you go.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Sodium makes you retain water. Oh, they never want to listen when you talk about the girls at work you hate. And when you actually feel like loving, all they want to do is masturbate. 'Cause that's what men like. Whoa, that's what men like.
Well, we asked you to submit questions to our That's What Men Are Like feature, and some of you have stepped forward. This is from Marie, submitting a question for That's What Men Are Like. Why are men attracted to crazy, self-destructive women with low self-esteem? When I meet a man who is needy, weepy, erratic, and impulsive, I am grossed out. I think if I even talk to that dude for 5 minutes, he's going to start weeping in my lap and asking if he can stay at my house and borrow $5 because he doesn't have access to basic life necessities for reasons that make no sense. Yet I've noticed that when a dude meets girls like that, the kind of girls who are always half drunk and carrying underwear and toothpaste and an extra pair of stockings in their purse, they're like, can't wait to hold her hair while she pukes. Now, I know the actual reason for this is that such women are often easily exploitable and eager to please.
Yes.
Yes, which makes for intense sex. And also, lots of men are secretly insecure and non-secretly bad at communicating, so it's easier for them to have relationships with dramatic girls who yell, because at least then they know what the fight's about. But I guess, aren't they ashamed? Like, of course it's an ego boost when somebody is super into you, but if the reason for that is that they're crazy, doesn't that render the ego boost moot? No. Is the answer to that.
I don't even think it necessarily has anything to do with an ego boost.
I don't think it has any... Okay.
This may be the difference between female and male sexuality to a certain degree.
That is where my mind went immediately upon reading this question. She is thinking of men in terms that she would understand. When she mentions, a needy, messed up guy and what that would mean to be in a relationship with someone like that, men don't think that way.
No. Men are looking to, if there's a woman around...
Yes.
And this man is out and he's like, oh, that woman will have some sort of sexual relations with me.
Yes.
That prompts him to be interested in pursuing that woman for sexual relations.
This woman is vulnerable. She's drunk. She has low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Maybe she was abused in the past. She has daddy issues. She will probably have sex with me.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about marrying this person.
No.
There's a big difference between a one-night stand, or even, you might even go for weeks with this person, the drunken, pill-popping, crazy, screaming woman.
You might.
Hey.
You have.
We're not talking from personal experience. We're talking about men in general.
Okay, yeah.
And they can separate that from the kind of girl they'd take home to mama.
Yeah.
And maybe that's disgusting. Maybe that's considered piggish.
Well, it is piggish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'd like to think that a lot of men wouldn't try to take advantage of a girl who is obviously damaged goods or can't be...
In a sense, it's the same reason why, like, men try to scoop up semi-comatose women and take them to their house at night.
And that's an extreme of actual, assault.
Yeah,
but
it gets to that point where it's like, it's low-hanging fruit.
Exactly.
Right?
Ripe fruit.
And
firm.
Okay. All right. We don't need any of that. Right. But so that's what the men are going for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more to it than that.
And she mentions, being in a relationship. One thing men will put up with a lot if they're having regular sex with a woman they find attractive.
That's true.
you put up with so much. You could hate the person's personality, and you might still be able to last a few months until you're finally like, okay, this isn't worth it anymore.
Enough of this, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think women are like that as much. Well, actually, women date a lot of assholes, too, but it's not for sex, I don't think.
And when we're saying this, we're very much generalizing.
Yes.
And we're just talking about, stereotypical man, stereotypical woman. We understand there are very many differences between men and women, and they like things different ways and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But in general, you're talking like Joe man and Joe woman.
I know him.
You know what I mean? And, these are the things that motivate them. It's different. It's a different drive.
We like sex.
Yes.
We like to have sex with women.
Yeah.
We like to have sex with attractive women.
Yeah.
Women won't often have sex with us.
No.
But they might if they're drunk. They might if they have a drug problem. They might if they've been abused by their father.
But I mean, it's the difference between this desperate woman, right, who this man, Joe man, has sex with sometimes, and the woman he pines for, right?
Yeah.
That he never has sex with.
Right.
And is unattainable. Yeah.
Let's play this out here.
Okay.
Let's say we're in a bar.
Yeah.
You're you.
I'm me. I'm not Joe man.
You're a man.
I'll be Joe man.
You could be Joe man. You're
All
Joe
right.
man. I'm a woman.
Joe woman? Okay.
You see her across the bar. She's attractive. Mm-hmm. Looks like she might be a little bit inebriated.
Yeah.
So you approach me.
Can I get you another one of those Mike's Hard Lemonades? My house is around the corner. Let's go right now.
Give me a shot of Patron. I've had 7 shots already, and I can't feel my lips anymore, but I want a shot of Patron.
See, this person seems really annoying, but I'm no longer Joe Man. I'm commentating on the scenario right now.
Are you going to give me a drink?
See,
or not?
Joe Man's just going to get the drink.
Okay, so you give me the drink.
And then you get it, and yeah.
And she does this. She licks the salt and does the lime and everything. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to wet my pants and pass out. Okay? I can't find my purse. I broke my cell phone. I don't know. Oh my God, I'm so drunk. I feel like you could just do whatever you wanted to me right now and I wouldn't even feel it.
I wouldn't even feel it. Oh, I mean, yes, as Joe Man, back as Joe Man. Okay, I'll wait for you here. Or I'll probably, linger outside the bathroom and wait for you to come out.
Okay, what are we going to do after that?
I want to show you my collection of model airplanes at my house.
You have a model airplane?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if I should go to your house or not.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
So let's go to your house, and I'll pass out on your bed, and you can rape me. So that's what
deal. That is radio theater. You really got into that character and kind of creeped me out. So you're doing facial things. It was really weird.
Well, I am an actor.
Yeah, I guess so. You were in high school productions, were you not?
I was, yes.
What were some of those high school productions?
I did. I actually played a woman or a man in drag in one of those productions.
Was it a production of Tootsie?
Charlie's Aunt.
Oh,
yes, a classic ribald comedy. So yeah, that's basically what happens. We're not saying it's a good thing. We're not saying that these men are admirable, but
no, I think it's pretty gross, actually.
It's pretty gross, and I will admit, I mean, there's a spectrum of what guys are going to do this and how much people might take advantage of certain situations. I am the type who I've definitely witnessed men taking insane advantage of women, and it makes me angry. And if it gets to the point where I think the woman is completely unable to actually make decisions, like she's that
But that's
impaired.
crossing over into a legal situation there.
Yeah, but I mean, there is still a weird gray area where you're like, oh, I'm taking you home. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, she doesn't even know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, that's basically date rape. But I will admit, if a girl is drunk...
Yes.
And is more amenable to perhaps a physical activity than she would have been if she hadn't been drunk.
Yes.
I'm not going to be, wait a minute, wait until you sober up. I'm going to make you some black coffee, and we're going to sit here for 3 hours until you sweat everything out of your pores, and then we'll talk about whether or not we have sex. You're not going to do that.
No, probably not.
No.
But that's fine.
And that's what men are like.
Yes.
Yeah, they like to wear black socks with khaki shorts. And on Sundays, instead of on the lawn, they like to eat hot wings, drink domestic beer, and watch endless stupid fucking sports. They're insensitive, so selfish too.
So one of the roommates at my house who takes care of the dog most of the time,
Yes.
has been out of town for weeks. So I've been walking this dog a lot because it won't just poop in the backyard.
Right.
You got to walk it around to get it to poop.
Hey, what's the deal with that?
You got to generate the poop momentum.
Is that learned behavior, or is that something that...
You wonder, it's like, if you just didn't walk the dog and be like, you're going to have to poop.
I'm sure he would shit
Yeah, he'd eventually shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But earlier this week, I was walking the dog. It was very dark out, and there was a poop, so I put the bag on, I grab it, and it feels like gravel.
Interesting.
And I think, he must have pooped on some gravel. So I take it, tie off the bag. The dog poops many times every walk.
Yeah.
The dog poops again, almost all gravel.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was eating gravel?
Apparently so. I don't know where he was getting the gravel, though.
There's no gravel in your yard?
There's no gravel in our yard or gravel around the house. So I don't know if that gravel had been in there for a long time. Is this finally coming out?
Uh-huh.
So the next time I took him out, no gravel. And so I guess the gravel is all gone now.
Hopefully he passed it all.
Yeah.
My dad's dog has swallowed larger pebbles.
Oh.
He has this weird rock fetish thing where he'll find little round rocks and chew them and then eventually swallow them, and has actually had problems. They've had to do surgery to get rid of the rock.
Jesus.
I don't know what the size threshold is. Like if you're eating pea gravel, that's fine. That'll all pass out perfectly well. But if you have like a geode or
something gets to a
something,
certain size and you can't get through the intestines, right? And
I
it
would
blocks
think so.
it. Yeah.
So what would it take for you as a human with consciousness, with free will?
Yeah.
I don't care how stupid a dog is. They have a sense of smell, and they can tell the difference between a food item and a non-food item.
Well.
So how fucking stupid would your dog have to be to eat a pile of gravel?
My dog's notoriously stupid.
How much gravel are we talking here?
The second poop was all gravel.
Like how big of a pile of gravel?
Like a handful.
And what size gravel?
Well, that's why.
Did it look like it was from a riverbed? Did it look like crushed rock?
I wasn't absolutely sure what it was, so I of course had to take it back to the lab. I did stick it in the sink, rinse it off, and it was just like gravel. It was like gravel you'd see in a driveway.
Like pea gravel? Or was it larger? Was it larger than like quarter inch?
Yeah, larger than a quarter inch.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Your dog is so stupid.
The dog, but this is the other thing with that dog, too. Speaking of things, if there's a piece of shit sitting somewhere, it is on that, eating that as quickly as possible.
His own shit or other shit?
Other shit. Anything that's on the ground like that.
Yeah.
Anything that might like catch its eye or smell weird, it ingests instantly.
Well, it's interesting when your whole interaction with the world is through your mouth. Obviously the nose plays a huge part too, but in order to actually touch anything, they're not picking things up in their paws.
Yeah.
They're putting it in their mouths. And it's kind of the same way with babies. Babies eat weird shit just because they put it in their mouths. Like, what's this? Blah. Well, they shove it in there.
It's the taste and the smell, right? Because the dog gets out there, it's sniffing, and it's like sniffing, and so interested in all these smells. I don't see any of this stuff, I don't smell anything.
Do you ever find yourself getting into that weird primitive mode, though, where you find something, maybe you're confronted with some strange food stuff.
Damn.
And you're not even sure if it's edible or not, so you do the whole process of, you're like, just give it a good sniff a couple times. You might like
you're a primitive
like
person in the jungle or something.
Yeah, you kind of like take a little nibble. It's an interesting way of. I've done that with items that obviously aren't food. You
nibble at it?
Well, I found a ring a while ago, a ring which I now wear on a daily basis.
Yeah, did I try that ring the other day?
You did. It didn't even fit on your pinky.
No.
Freakish, weird hands. When I found it, I assumed it was silver, but I didn't know for sure, and I put it in my mouth. And I don't know what that would have told me necessarily.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you look online? Was there a way you can tell if it's silver by taste?
No, it's not like gold, like with pure gold.
Wait,
you can bite it.
Where did you find it?
It was on the sidewalk.
Did you wash it before you put it in your mouth?
No.
You just took a ring off the sidewalk and put it in your mouth?
I picked it up.
Yeah.
It's like, this looks like it's silver. And then I went and put it in my mouth and tasted it. Because maybe I thought maybe there was a taste, like a silver taste.
Okay, on a lot of levels, this is crazy, right? Because you didn't. There's no way for you to tell it's silver.
I'm not an assayer or something.
No. And it was just a dirty thing you found on the street. Yeah. And you put in your mouth.
Well, I think
we should put it in my dog.
I think we should put a lot of things in our mouths because it increases our immune response. We're so Purell, like antibacterial hand soap. Everything has to be perfectly clean all the time. You should just every once in a while find something on the street and put it in your mouth. And I'm not talking about like an old man's cock in an alley. I'm talking about just
if
things
you want to get
find.
immunity to some diseases, maybe.
Well, that's a little too dangerous, I think. There's some diseases that you can't be inoculated against oral herpes.
Can you not?
I don't think so. There's
no herpes vaccine yet?
Or isn't there? Oh, no, there's an
that's
HPV.
The war one.
There's an HPV
that's the war one.
Yeah, that's the warts.
Yeah. There's another good conversation for you, people.
I don't know why my mind immediately went to an old man's cock in an alley, but
when you talk about
putting food off the ground, if you
putting
drop
things
it on
in your
ground.
mouth, you're walking down the street, you put something in your mouth, you end up thinking about like a homeless guy and his cock, right? You're like, oh, just anything that's around? Well, how about this homeless man's cock? That's a thing that's around the street that's dirty.
I would actually prefer that to a homeless woman's vagina.
What?
Don't you think?
No.
Really? No, I mean, oh, whoa, okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is...
What are you saying?
Taking sexuality out of it completely.
Okay.
And just think of it as the object.
Yes.
You've got one thing that... It's the old man's cock. I'm sure there's might be some weird kind of crotch cheese and stuff going on there. But it's not I mean, it is a mucous membrane. There's a tiny little one on the tip. But then if you take the old homeless woman's vagina... Think about all the... I mean, we had the woman with the yeast infection.
But you can't put it in your mouth.
Well,
you know
put your
mean?
mouth on it, I guess.
I'd rather put my mouth on that than put the other thing in. There's no question. There's no way we could do a listener poll, and there's no way anyone's going to be like, put the old, dirty homeless man's cock in my mouth. That's a very controversial position you've taken.
Well,
it's indefensible.
It made me think... I'm sure we're turning off a lot of listeners right now, but it made me think of like discharge and fluids.
Okay,
and things,
Yeah, the old man might.
I can think of the old man's homeless penis as just sort of this like withered. It'd be like finding. When you see gamekeepers out in Africa and they find an impala's shit that's been there for like months and it's desiccated and they pick it up because it's not gooey poo anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like mummified poo and they go, and they smell it and they crumble it in their fingers to see how old it is.
And they put it in their mouth and give it pleasure.
That's what I imagine the old homeless man's penis would be like. Like anything that was on it had just kind of dried up and died away.
But why wouldn't that be true of the old homeless woman's vagina?
Because it's a gaping wound.
Putting your mouth on something...
I'm not going to convince you.
And putting something in your mouth, it's always better to put your mouth on something. Because you're going to...
But I'm talking about mouth open, maybe even take a couple...
Oh, there's no... It's way better.
Still with the
Please
vagina.
write in, listeners. Podcast at Warren and Bradley.
Podcast at warrenandbradley.com. Tell us if you prefer to put your mouth on an old homeless woman's vagina or an old homeless man's cock.
In your mouth.
In your mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the part.
That is a distinction. Okay, I think that's enough time for the Warren and Bradley Show this week. This has been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
And your other host, Warren Van.
Saying...
keep licking those old woman's vaginas.
Oh, God.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast at warrenandbradley.com.